Hello, humans. Welcome to the first post of the chronological study of the Bible. We're just going to keep it simple for the first post here. So, referring to the invisible God Almighty, Genesis 1:1 says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." But if that was the beginning, then how could a God exist to create? How can God exist before the beginning? Or did God come into existence at the same time in the beginning? And if a creator created everything, well, then who created this creator? A lot of people get confused and messed up with this. To answer that, listen, we only need to know if the creator, God, would exist contingently, because only contingent beings need a cause. The answer is that God must exist necessarily because God exists by necessity of God's own nature. So things that exist necessarily exist by necessity of their own nature. So an example could be abstract objects such as numbers. Many mathematicians would concur that numbers exist by necessity of their own nature. Some, however, would argue that numbers simply cannot exist if nothing exists. Numbers can only come into existence once the first something comes into existence. Things that exist contingently are caused to exist by something else. So, for example, a painting exists because an artist created it. A globe that many teachers use in the classrooms, that only exists because it was created. But the globe, like that, well, the earth is the same. It exists contingently. Well, how do we know this? Well, almost all physicists and cosmologists agree that at some point in the finite past, the universe began to exist. So in other words, there was nothing, no time, space, matter, or energy, and then there was something. Now, it is logically possible that the entire universe did not have to exist, but it does exist. Why? Well, the universe doesn't exist necessarily, rather it exists contingently. The universe did not create itself because nothing cannot become something unless a certain something or someone creates that something. Therefore, creation comes from either God or abstract objects. However, abstract objects do not create anything. Therefore, God is the creator. It is argued that God created the entire universe and all life, specifically humankind. The only adequate explanation of a contingent universe existing is that it was created by a non-contingent and supernatural being. God exists necessarily. But who made God? Who made God? That question is like asking who caused the uncaused first cause. A created God is not even a coherent concept. However, supposing that the universe has always existed and energy is eternal and uncreated, well then of course no one created it, right? But if it is meaningless to ask who created energy or the universe, since it has always existed, well then it is equally meaningless to ask who made God, since God has always existed. If, however, energy and the universe is not eternal, it needs a cause. On the other hand, if it has no beginning, well, it does not need a cause of its beginning, right? Likewise, if God had no beginning, it is absurd to ask who made God. It's simply a category mistake to ask who made the unmade or who created the uncreated. However, the vast majority of physicists and cosmologists, they agree that at some point in the finite past, the universe did have a beginning. And if the universe had a beginning, the universe exists contingently. Therefore, the universe was created. God is the creator, and God exists necessarily. So in conclusion, God was not created, God simply is. God is the uncaused, beginningless, changeless, immaterial, timeless, spaceless, enormously powerful cause of the universe, as it is written in Genesis 1:1, he is also a free agent who is not a mere abstract object. All minds can only come from a mind. Life can only come from life. Creation comes from a creator. Therefore, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.